Really excited to welcome Catherine Masters, Pricing and Data Director at Covéa Insurance, to discuss this topic and to share her valuable insights from Covéa's data journey. Catherine, would you like to introduce yourself and Covéa, please?
Well, thanks for inviting me to join you today on this webinar, and it's nice to get the opportunity to speak to all who have joined. So as Owen said, I'm Catherine Masters, and I'm the Pricing and Data Director at Covéa Insurance. Just a little bit about Covéa Insurance, if you're not familiar with us or heard about us before, because we're not always a brand name that people will recognise. We're an intermediated insurer here in the UK, writing personal lines and commercial lines business. And we're part of the Covéa Group, which is one of the largest insurers in France, covering both reinsurance and insurance as well. In my role here at Covéa Insurance, which is the UK part of the company, I look after our kind of technical teams, and I'm also leading the data strategy and transformation here at Covéa Insurance. So I'm excited to get to share and talk about some of the things that we've experienced, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you, Catherine. And I'm Owen Greenwood. I'm one of Dufresne's client partners for the insurance sector. For anyone not familiar with Dufresne, we are a pure play data consulting firm. We support clients with their data challenges, from everything from data strategy through to data management and governance, engineering, and through to machine learning and AI. We work with clients across all sectors, but with a real focus on the insurance sector and financial services. So today, we are going to be talking about the scale of the data challenge and the opportunity for insurers, pitfalls when maximising return on investment from your data programs, and practical steps that can be taken to drive measurable business value from data initiatives. And one piece of housekeeping: if you have any questions, there is a Q&A chat for this webinar, so please drop them in there and we will pick them up towards the end. So, before we talk about the challenges, let's just jump into the opportunity for the insurance sector. I think we all know that data is very much at the heart of the insurance industry, perhaps more than any other. And I think it's fair to say that there's a growing understanding that data is a really critical, crucial asset for insurance companies. Insurers are really investing more now than they ever have before in initiatives. And when I look at the opportunity, I look at it and I look at the end-to-end insurance value chain. I think there's three main areas. There's the customer experience and relationship management. There's the enhanced risk assessment and underwriting, and operational excellence and strategic growth. If we look at the first of those, that's really around targeted marketing and personalized products and services, and using data to meet customer expectations for personalization. For the enhanced risk assessment and underwriting, that's really drawing upon new and diverse data sets like telematics data and IoT and social media, and that enables more accurate risk profiling and underwriting. And then for operational excellence and strategic growth, really looking at automating of repetitive tasks or identifying new markets and creating products which are really relevant to new markets. So Catherine, at Covéa, how do you think about the value of your data, and what is the approach that you take?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that most insurers nowadays think about data as the strategic asset that it is. But just taking a step back for a second, if we think about insurance in the context of, other industries out there, we're quite lucky in a way, because when somebody is interacting with us or one of our broker partners in trying to purchase a product that we sell, they are telling us a lot about themselves. So, the analogy I always think about, you don't have to tell if you go into the local shop to buy a loaf of bread, you don't have to tell them everything or about yourself in order to make that purchase. But of course, in the insurance industry and the risk assessment that we do, if you go on an aggregator, if you're speaking to a broker, then you're really sharing a lot about yourself, and that's in order to help give the best targeted product for your needs, as well as the best price as well. So insurance is an old-fashioned product, but nowadays the amount of data interchange and the amount of data that we generate is huge. And so really capitalizing on all of those in order to continue to deliver the best service and value is both the biggest opportunity and probably the biggest threat as well for insurers. So it touches so many different parts, but Covéa's not alone in considering data to be one of our key strategic assets, and it's one of the reasons why we've invested in our data strategy and our data transformation.
That's great. It's true. I think the insurance industry is unique in that way. The amount of data that we're able to access and utilize is unusual and very different, a big differentiator to other industries. And then, of course, I guess thinking about the value of the data as well, there's, other than the insurance value chain, when it comes to delivering data projects, you want to maximize value because of the executive sponsorship and buy-in you get from delivering successfully. So I think there's so many facets and reasons why the opportunity for insurers is so big and why it's so important to maximize the value.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that you've seen more and more in the insurance industry over the last sort of 5 to 10 years, but the pace of change in 2025 and forwards will just continue to increase.
And so on that, I'm really keen to jump into some of the challenges. I think because there is so much activity happening, as you say, everything from implementing data governance and data management, or to new data platforms, or more recently, everyone is looking and focusing on AI. And there's frequent reports and articles in the headlines almost on a daily, weekly basis, highlighting some of the challenges. And I've listed a few up here on the page. And this obviously reflects very much what we see at Dufresne on a weekly basis and based on our conversations with our clients. I'm interested to understand if any of these headlines here resonate particularly strongly with you, Catherine, and related to the challenges that you've encountered at Covéa.
Yeah, so probably the one that speaks to me most is the one on the bottom right-hand side. So less than 40% of insurance executives believe their data analytics programs have delivered an anticipated ROI. And this is something that we thought very carefully about when we were embarking upon our data transformation journey, because whilst it can be challenging, we've made it a requirement of the way that we work to be able to demonstrate tangible value. And that's helped considerably because we've set meaningful goals, realistic goals, and tried to work in with some agility associated with it. So, I think gone are the days where companies sign off a big multi-million pound check and expect to see something in 2-3 years time. That's not the way of working anymore. And in order to really gather pace and be successful in a sustainable data strategy and data transformation, having clear steps, clear objectives that you can then see, you can see the tangible outcome on your P&L or in the service that you provide, has been one of the markers of success, I'd say, in how we've worked so far.
That's really interesting to hear, and I think we'll touch on that about the challenges that are faced by justifying the data and the value that's delivered on an iterative and quick return on investment as much as getting the maximum return as well. And I think on that one, I think the other one here which resonates to me most strongly is around 70% of insurance data initiatives actually fail to reach their goals altogether. So I think your point is particularly valuable and important.
Yeah, because it's so big, isn't it? You can really, there's so much to do and go after. If you're not, you don't have the right priorities, or you're not clear on what you want to achieve and when, it can get away from you.
Absolutely. So on that, I'm really interested to hear a bit more about the data journey that Covéa has been on. It'd be great to hear a bit more detail about some of the challenges you face and where you are in your journey and what you've identified as keys to success during that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a topic I love talking about because it's, we've talked about how important having good data and good analytical processes and other opportunities on top of that. But actually, if we just wind it back a little bit in terms of what our challenge was and how we've addressed it, I think a lot of it will sound familiar or ring some bells with the audience who are with us today. And probably the first thing to call out is that there are some fantastic technologies out there that can give you some really strong data foundations that can enable the kind of first steps on your journey. We work with Databricks, and that's been in place at Covéa for many years. And that gives us a great set of technologies. It allows us to put our data in the same place. There's work that obviously we have to do to ingest all of that, but previously, having data siloed across the business, not in a modern tool set or technology stack, doesn't give you the foundation that you need in order to achieve and get maximum value out of the asset that you have. So we've got some great technologies in place, and we spent a lot of time getting our data in the right shape, in the right format to set ourselves up for success. One of the things that we did about 18 months ago or so is, with all of that great technology and hard work in place, how do we then shift the focus from getting our technology stack working for us into getting the value delivered out of those efforts? And the program that we've been on, our data transformation journey, is business led. So we have key use cases that allow us to work out and then deliver tangible value against, whilst also continuing to improve and iterate and enrich those data foundations. So that's been one of the key first steps that we did, is making sure we've got a really clear list of high priority use cases that are linked to value on our P&L, and gives us the tools that we need to build momentum, I'd say, on our data journey. The second thing that helped us, and I guess one of the reasons I'm here talking with you today, is partnering with Dufresne and a set of experts, basically, to hold our hands and to help guide us through. Because whilst we have done technology programs and things in the past, we hadn't done such a large scale data transformation program ourselves. So what's the best way to help us increase our confidence of success? It's to partner with experts who have done this before, and that's given us a set of high skilled people who work very collaboratively with us in the culture that we also value, and that's given us a huge acceleration in terms of how we achieve those use cases. And I think the final point, and I know we're going to touch on this a little bit further in our conversation as well, is then how do you get all of that exciting things that you've done, all those developments, all those data products, you can deliver them to your users, and you can keep your fingers crossed that they're going to take that and run with that. But adoption and how we upskill and provide the data in a consumable fashion to people with the tools that they need to be able to do their job, that kind of business readiness has been another key part of our journey. So the kind of key takeaway or headline that I would give you is that we were able and have been able to achieve a lot more in the last 18 months than perhaps I could have dreamed of, because we've been just doing it in a iterative and an agile way with tangible outcomes that just feeds that momentum and ultimately also helps drive your adoption in the business as well. So it's been a fun journey. We've got more to do, but it's certainly been something that has delivered value for us as a company.
Absolutely, yeah. I think from what I know of the journey and from what you've explained just now as well, I think you're doing an amazing job of delivering value from your data. Still a lot to do, but so far it's been a huge success. And I think there's a real trend in the market right now that over the last few years, a lot of insurers have been focused on getting their data onto a consolidated single platform, and the big question right now that a lot of insurers are trying to answer is around how to now generate the real value from it. And I think Covéa's story is inspirational in terms of what you're doing, what you're achieving, and the journey you're on. A really great example, and that others can draw upon. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the pitfalls then. I think at Dufresne, we are in the consulting world, helping our customers day in, day out with their challenges. And we see common pitfalls when it comes to delivering successful data projects and maximizing value. I've put a few of them up here, and I think these are, to me, the key ones. If I run through them just to highlight. So we're really talking about, the first one there is a technology first approach, taking a technology first approach instead of a business first approach. And what I mean by that is, it's quite simply, if you want your data initiative to be of the highest possible value, you've got to focus on what actual business value is driving, not what the technology solution is that you're implementing or looking to gain benefit from, but it's got to be focused on what the business actually, how the business actually benefits. And to that, the metrics that you use to measure the success need to be focused on outcomes rather than deliverables, and focused on the business outcome of what's actually achieved. Also important is making sure that the data initiative isn't siloed within a particular business function or within a particular business unit, but is very much aligned with the overall business enterprise data strategy and business strategy, for that matter. Related to the business theme still, making sure that you stay engaged with the business. If you've got a multi-year, multifaceted, multi-stream data program being delivered, you need to make sure that over the duration of that program, from the beginning all the way through to delivery, that the business is engaged and understands what's happening and fully involved in every aspect of that. And the final two I put on here are more foundational. So really, you've got to have solid data foundations. I think we hear this and see this said by many across the industry. It's quite simply, I think most of us will understand, you've got to have high quality data to work with, managed well, governed well, and that will support any other initiatives you want to take. And the final point here, the talent and skills gap. It's a bit of a cliche to say that the data is the new oil, but it really is at the center of everything, particularly for insurance, as we talked about earlier. And having the right skills and the right capabilities in the right roles for any data initiative and from an operational perspective is really critical. Having the right people there will be a huge game changer for everything. So Catherine, I'm interested to understand, of these, do any of these resonate in particular, and which ones, or are there others that you would include on here as well, other common pitfalls that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, all of them resonate with me, Owen. I think it's a good summary of some of the areas which can catch you off, or catch you out. Sorry. Probably the one that is hardest to predict or feel as if you're making progress on is that talent and skills gap, because the amount of change in what actual skills you need is only increasing. So yes, obviously the technical skills for people to bring data in, to transform it, to model it, to have it ready for consumption, all the way through to how your end users can consume that and have the right insights from it that drive value. So one of my favorite quotes, and I don't know who said it, but along the lines of, statistics can be made to say anything, even the truth. If you put into the hands of people who aren't ready to consume it or don't have the right level of support around them, they'll draw the wrong influences. So we can do all of this activity and work, but actually it's the last bit that seems so simple to get over the line can be the one that makes or breaks it. So not ignoring that as you go through your data journey, I think, is probably a key bit of advice. Yes, get your data in a good shape, progress it through, transform it, think about the use cases and the value associated with it. But you need high levels of communication and training support, amongst other things, to actually allow you to realize the benefit of all those efforts as well.
I 100% agree. And actually it takes you back to early on in my career where one of my colleagues, senior colleagues, who was much more informed than I was at that point in time, and he said to me, technology is technology, and that's great. And process, you can define a process and put that in place, and that's pretty straightforward. As soon as you introduce people, that's where things start to get a bit more complicated. And I guess that stuck with me because it is true. I think people are at the center of everything that we do. And despite working in data and insurance and technology, talent and skills and people is absolutely crucial to everything.
And they're in short supply sometimes as well. It's a really hot area, not just in the insurance industry, but across all industries. We're crying out for people with these types of skills. But to support your internal people to develop those, it gives great opportunity, supports personal development as well, and that's something that is important to us, and certainly is a key aspect of our journey.
Very true. Very true. Thank you. So let's move on to the next slide I have in here. So obviously, as a consultant, I of course love a framework, and this one I'm sharing here is one that we use to support our clients, and we really use this to help them navigate the common pitfalls and to maximize value. Very simply, 3 main areas and 3 critical success factors for each area. So if I just run through those, I'm really curious to understand your view on this, Catherine. So I have focusing on the business, and we've touched on this in our conversation. It's very much around making sure that you're focused on the business problems that you're solving, you're maintaining the business engagement, and you've got metrics which are relevant to the business stakeholders and focused on outcomes. The other area, or second area, is really focusing on the foundations that you need in place. So implementing robust data governance frameworks and having solid data quality, making sure that your initiative is aligned to overall data strategy, and then really making sure that you've got highly skilled cross-functional teams for any initiative that you're delivering. So you want teams which have a combination of business and data expertise, and the breadth of data expertise is much broader than I think many people appreciate. Data is a big subject in its own right. And then the final point here is really focus on delivery. So delivering in iterative releases, demonstrating tangible results quickly, and maintaining the stakeholder buy-in by doing that. That doesn't mean that every project has to be delivered in an entirely agile way, but I think there's aspects of it that can be taken for any project to try and achieve those outcomes. The second point on the focus on delivery is around measuring and monitoring and communicating that value on an ongoing basis. And then the last point on the bottom right there is really around not underestimating the importance of change management training. To your point just earlier about the importance of the people and making sure that is given due focus. Of these, which areas particularly resonate for you, Catherine, and which do you think are perhaps ones that are most relevant to yourselves and Covéa?
Well, if I had all the time in the world, Evan, I'd talk about each of them, because I think they're really insightful pieces that generally, most people will at some point in their journey kind of have sight of. One interesting thing, I think, though, is we talk about defined KPIs here. As a technical team, as a data team, delivering KPIs for others, generally speaking, I think sometimes we can forget to measure ourselves. What are we doing in order to ensure and validate that the activities we're doing are the right ones? So I mentioned a little bit earlier, but just being really clear about your objectives when you've reached them, to be able to close them off and then continue. And because data touches so many aspects, you've got data quality all the way through to that kind of interpretive, analytical use, going on to AI use cases and things like that. If we're not really clear about what our success criteria is as a data function, time can get away from you. So holding yourself to account, being really clear about measuring your own progress and journey on that, I think is really, really important. And it then helps lead into that adoption piece and getting people trusting what you're doing as well. So, it sounds like a really obvious thing to do, doesn't it? Because we're dealing in numbers all the time, but making sure that you're measuring and tracking your own progress against your goals can certainly create a level of transparency with the process. And build that trust and confidence in your stakeholders. Because I don't know about anybody else on the call, but I have an analytical background, and the thing that we love to do the most is go and use a little bit of data, go and investigate it. We're curious about it. What can it tell us? What can it help us? And in that respect, I'm talking about actions that we might take in some of our business areas, but we should do the same thing internally in a data function as well. What are the areas that we can continue to improve on in order to achieve our objectives and ambitions?
I really like that. I guess again it comes back to the focus on the importance of people, and also I think I'd add to that to celebrate the successes. So as you're working way through and deliverables are delivered and you have the metrics there to measure, celebrating success is always critical as well, and making sure that recognition is given during the life cycle of a delivery program.
Absolutely.
That's great. So really insightful. I've loved this conversation. It's been great, and it's been really good to hear firsthand some of the experiences you've had. We're going to jump into a Q&A. We have had a few questions come through, which have been dropped neatly into the slides. So let's have a look. So how do you secure investment for data initiatives when ROI isn't immediately clear?
Yeah, this can be a tricky one as well, I think, because there's a few ways you can go about this, and I can just talk about our experience here about how we approached this. So I talked about finding some key use cases, the really high priority ones, the ones that are just very obvious and can have a real strong direct link to your P&L, and that could be in efficiencies in time, that could be in storage costs in data, things that are easier to measure but have big value associated with them. Finding those things can then help fund the things that aren't immediately as clear or as obvious. And certainly there's a risk sometimes when you're embarking upon a data journey is try and take on too much, try and solve the world all in the next 6 months. No, be really clear, pick some key areas where they might not be the largest return on investment, but the ones that are easiest and clearest to measure. They can help fund your next stages to help build and drive that momentum as well. So, but it's not easy, but that's a way that I found that we've been successful.
That's great. That's really interesting to hear. And I think one thing I've seen is trying to, and this is a real challenge, trying to convince exec that actually not everything will get a very obvious or tangible direct return. You want most things to, of course, and as much as possible, you want to be able to articulate that. But sometimes you kind of have to have that leap of faith in what you're delivering and recognize that it may not necessarily deliver obvious immediate value, but is supportive to other initiatives and programs that will.
Yeah, indeed.
Second question. So how have you managed to maintain business buy-in?
Well, I think it's high levels of communication from our perspective. People get very excited when they can actually, see something and kind of can visualize something as well. So business buy-in is easy if you can show them something, and making sure that you're continuing to communicate with them. Not everybody gets everything they want straight away, is the truth, but as long as you're clear about what they can expect and when, that usually does the trick. And then you get helpful challenges as well back. We talked about appetite in the insurance industry for using data as a strategic asset. There's huge appetite in the business for getting the information that they want at their fingertips in a way that they can easily use it, and being clear about, yeah, I absolutely get that, you need that, here are the things we're doing to help you do that, but it's not going to be yet, it's going to be in 3 months time or whatever it might be. Just being open and transparent about that usually helps.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, we work with a number of clients at the moment, and it's not unusual for us to be asked to support a client with securing the funding they need for an initiative. And the approach I look at, and my colleagues we look at, is very much about the storytelling aspect of it. So obviously you want to have a strong business case wherever possible, but being able to articulate clearly what the story is and why a certain initiative will ultimately support the business and where the value is. If it's not a pure return on investment, what other things are valuable and helpful to that? And I think that is where certainly I've seen maintaining business buy-in a bit more clearly. And so the third question on here we have, what has proven to be the hardest challenge when trying to maximize value from your initiatives? I think we've touched on this a little bit during the course of the conversation.
Yeah, probably the only thing I'd add, Owen, is probably just around pace, because we can move really, really quickly, but we're always going to want to move quicker than we can. So just managing that, I think, can be a little bit challenging, because there's always a trade-off. You can't parachute in, everything that you need in order to get everything you want immediately. It takes some patience and some time, but if you're able to set a pace that is fast enough, that allows you to have those tangible outcomes, that business buy-in that we've talked about, then it becomes sustainable. It's a marathon, not a sprint, is the key phrase everyone uses. But data initiatives, data transformations, because of the pace of change outside of of a company's walls, there will always be new things to do. There'll always be new techniques, new technologies, whatever they might be. So you need to be sustainable. Otherwise, you'll put a whole lot of effort in for a short amount of time, and then suddenly find yourself behind the curve again.
Yeah, I think that's a really important. I think it plays to, maybe it's a little bit of a theme across these, is around education, isn't it? It's making sure that when you're looking to achieve or secure funding, and during the course of delivery, it's about making sure that you're clearly communicating and educating others in terms of things which may not be directly relevant to their day-to-day. If you're dealing with an executive or a business stakeholder who isn't close to the detail of data or technology and isn't technically minded, helping them to understand why something is taking a certain amount of time or what approach is being taken, and just communicating that during the life cycle of the delivery. Okay. So are you ready to unlock your business value? So it's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you, Catherine. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. It's been really insightful and great to talk with you. We are offering a free consultation at a 1-hour session using our framework, where we will sit with our clients and help identify high impact actions or tangible actions to take to increase the return on investment on current data efforts. So with that in mind, please email me directly if this is something you would like to discuss with me or one of my colleagues. Contact details are there, and please follow us on LinkedIn as well. I'd really appreciate that. So on that, just like to say thank you again, Catherine. Really appreciate you taking the time today, and it's been a really fascinating, insightful conversation. I appreciate you taking the time.
Likewise, and I hope everyone's enjoyed it as well. It's been great to talk.